control. Gravity is all that I know. She's over me. She's over me. She comes me with her hypnotic dance. She holds me here with only a glance. She's over me. She's over me. All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of all ages, welcome to the Paranormal Portal's Bedtime Stories From Beyond, the Thursday edition. Thank you to all of you who joined us last night. We had a great show and a lot of fun and great conversation, great discussion. We kind of centered around Bigfoot, a little bit of Dogman, but if you missed it, please check it out. But be sure you're subscribed. There's a button somewhere down here that is red, and it's subscribe. So please do, or look for the floating head over here, my floating head. That'll help you subscribe too, in case you haven't found it yet. But anyway, I hope you're ready because it's time for bed. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Bedtime Stories From Beyond. I'm your host, Brent Thomas, and I'm absolutely thrilled to be here with you. It's getting warmer. It's melting. That white crap is all melting. So I'm happy. This is it's moving into a much more joyous time of year. But I hope you guys had a great Thursday. Tomorrow is Friday night, and remember, tomorrow night we got the paranormal investigator panel on the show, and it should be a lot of fun. Great discussion. But remember, if you have questions, please get them to me. If you have questions about paranormal investigating, or you just want some feedback on some techniques or whatever, please email paranormalportalradio@gmail.com. I would really appreciate it. And those of you that are going to be present in the chat room, I hope you guys are involved because I want you to be a part of this whole experiment. This is the second roundtable episode we've ever done. The first one was with our psychic friends. And so this will be the second installment of the roundtable events. And these are the paranormal investigators. So if you've ever watched those shows and wondered, hey, I wonder, tomorrow's your night because you can ask. And the experts will be weighing in. Now, I don't ever use that word expert because in the paranormal, I really don't believe there are. But in investigations, there can be, because to be an expert of paranormal investigating, you have to be able to know the equipment, know the techniques, know, protocol and procedure. So that's not the same as knowing everything there is to know about spirits or, whatever flavor of the paranormal. But so I will use that term and to describe investigators, because they certainly can be expert at what they do. So anyway, let's get to some ghost stories, because that's what the stories are all about. Here on the Bedtime Stories, not exclusively. I may do other things on the Bedtime Stories. I started out doing other things. I've just kind of stuck with ghost stories because they're quick and easy and make for a lot of fun on the episodes. But we may cover other topics as well. So the first one tonight is coming out of Rhode Island, ladies and gentlemen, and this one is, hopefully it's good. It's pretty short, so let's see what it's got to say. This happened about 5 years ago, and I just started to do sleepovers at my boyfriend's house, and he lived in a 3-story family house with brother on the first, mom on the second, and my boyfriend on the third. His dad was living with him at the time, so we would all stay at his mom's on the second, and she was at her boyfriend's house on weekends, and my boyfriend had just gotten up and kissed me goodbye, and he had an early shift at work. I rolled over on my side and was about to go to sleep when I heard someone walk in the bedroom and go to the jewelry on the dresser, and I thought maybe it was my boyfriend coming in for something, and I said, "Honey," and was rolling over back to see my boyfriend when at the corner of my eye I saw a dark figure walk by me. I got really scared because I realized it was not my boyfriend. I heard the figure walk from the kitchen to the living room. I was just too scared to follow it. I quickly called my boyfriend and told him to get to the house ASAP, and he came home to find me under his mother's covers. And he at first thought it was his dad coming into the house, but he locked the doors, and there is no other way to get into the second floor. His brother wasn't home, and he was away for the weekend, so this was not the last time we experienced something at the house. When I told his mom about it, she said she had experienced the things like that often in her house. There you go. So, cool story. I like that one. Quick and painless. All right, this one's huge. Holy man. Is my cat in here? I heard a noise before, and Anubis. Kitty, kitty, kitty. And then I heard something get knocked over. Anubis, kitty, kitty, kitty. Oh, I don't know. He's not coming if he is in here. Okay, so this is a really long story. This might take up most of the rest of the show. I don't know if I can read this one though. Let me skip to another one. We'll see how we're doing on time. But that's a marathon. That would be a huge, 35-minute story all by itself. This one's coming out of Kentucky. And no, this one's pretty painless. I always wanted to believe in the paranormal, but I was a skeptic, like most people. I had to see it to believe it. I was only about 15 to 16 years old and was dating someone who claimed his house was haunted. First of all, this guy was one of those people who stretched the truth and made up stories all the time, so I really didn't pay much attention to his allegations. I tried to come up with excuses for everything he claimed, and thinking that he and his friends were messing with me because things only happened when his parents were gone. Several little things did happen here and there, but I still didn't believe it until one night. His bedroom was near the kitchen where the furnace was located, but yet his room was freezing all the time. No matter how hot the rest of the house was, you could feel a total temperature change as soon as you walked through the doorway. I simply blew it off, stating that it was an old house, and one night while watching TV, he set down his drink and came over to give me a hug, and he was facing his drink on the table, and I was not, and he then says, "Don't move." And we sat there for a moment when he finally let go of me, and he told me to look at his drink. It had been moved over to a different spot. I tried to come up with a reason, and I swore that he moved it while I wasn't looking, trying to make sense of it. Then there was the slamming of the other bedroom doors. He would say, "See, I told you." But I would immediately run through the house and check the windows, claiming it was the wind coming through, but all the windows were closed. I didn't know what to say. What finally made me a believer was the night I heard it walk by me. Anubis, come here. Anyway, she heard it walk by me. We were home alone again, and I was sitting in a recliner near the bedroom door, facing the kitchen. We then heard someone open the front door and walk in. There was a pause, and we both looked at each other, wondering who it was and what they were doing, because no one said anything. Right before we could ask who's there or even check, the invisible began to walk slowly across the kitchen floor, right in front of me. It was the most eerie thing I've ever heard. It would take a step and drag, and then a step and drag, as if it were dragging something very heavy. Total terror and disbelief took over my body, and I couldn't move. I couldn't speak. I couldn't turn away. Not like someone was holding me, but I was so terrified. I was paralyzed with fear. I just sat there shaking with my mouth open and tears running down my face. I could hear something walking right in front of me, and yet there was nothing there. Once it crossed the kitchen, it just stopped, like nothing had ever happened. Then I started screaming and went into an asthma anxiety attack, and once I recovered, I demanded to be taken home, and I never returned. Now, here's the thing with a story like that. You recall during the narrative, she says nothing ever happened when the parents was home. And a lot of times, in the case of a negative haunt, there will be certain members of the family that the spirits may be more intimidated by. They might be a little frightened. Perhaps the reluctance to do anything while the parents were there has to do with the fact that it may believe that the parents would take measures to get rid of it if they ever became fully aware of its presence. Also, many times, and oftentimes, and I've said this before, and honestly, it's not meant to be a sexist remark, so please don't take any offense at this, but oftentimes the dominant male in the house will be more intimidating to the spirits. Now, that could be because they're from a time when, males were much more dominant and, were to be more feared, and women were passive, and it could be an old-fashioned sensibility like that, but whatever the case, a lot of times a father in a house or a dominant male will be the last one to experience anything. It's like the presence has to grow and grow and grow in the house and gain strength and gain momentum before it'll reveal itself to a dominant male. But it can also be a dominant female. I mean, whatever's the dominant presence in the house. Now, there are many very, very powerful women that are, quite capable of taking care of themselves and, can be very intimidating for spirits as well. But I'm just, speaking general. So I don't believe it's just a male energy. I just think maybe perhaps there is a more protective aspect to a male energy, but I don't know. I mean, you think of the whole, mother bear and her cub. It's like the father bear doesn't care at all, but the mother bear will tear up somebody. They'll tear up some fools for getting out around, near the cubs. So I don't know. I don't know what it is, but the fact that it doesn't happen for everybody and only happens to one or, only the young children or whatever is not at all uncommon. So, but I think it has to do with a spiritual power that kids are incredibly bright and light and open and they can see more clearly. But as far as a spiritual, powerful presence, most children don't have that. They are these gentle little innocent beings. And so they tend to be good targets for a malicious entity. Adults, we're more jaded. We're not as easily fooled. We're not as easily manipulated. And so I'm sure for a negative entity, adults would be a much less attractive target. And so for a manifestation or a presence not to reveal itself to, the adults in the house doesn't surprise me at all. It happens all the time. And I think it has to do with that spiritual presence and the fact that, maybe these things know that adults are the ones that will arrange them to get kicked out. I don't know. Just thinking on my feet as usual, ladies and gentlemen, but there's something to that. Oh, that's interesting. This one's coming out of Virginia. All right, let's see what's going on. Very early on Tuesday morning, July 16th, I woke up suddenly for absolutely no reason. There was no noise, no movement, nothing at all had disturbed my slumber. I don't know what compelled me to do so, but I immediately sat bolt upright and found myself blinking incredulously at the shadow image of a young African-American woman at the foot of my bed. In the darkness, it was hard to distinguish her features, but I sensed she was smiling at me. She appeared to have a scarf tied around her head, and her clothing looked like a loose-fitting blouse and skirt that might have been worn by slave girls during the Civil War. Disbelieving what my eyes were taking in, I shifted my gaze to the LED clock just beyond the apparition on my dressing table, and it was exactly 3:33 a.m. I'm awake. I know I'm not dreaming, I said aloud, and as I spoke, the apparition began to fade very quickly. Within 2 seconds, all that remained was a white, misty outline of the woman, and then that faded as well. I looked down at my 2 dogs sleeping soundly at my feet. Neither one had stirred, making me wonder if I had in fact dreamed the entire experience. Wouldn't the dogs have sensed her presence too? This is my 3rd such encounter, and the first took place more than a decade ago when we lived in St. Louis, and I woke up in much the same manner to find a man wearing a trench coat and a fedora hat watching me from the front of the bed. I was very frightened, as I thought he was an intruder, until he faded into a mist. The second experience occurred 5 years later in our Cheyenne, Wyoming home. Lying on my side, I awoke suddenly and found myself face to face with a blonde-haired little girl wearing a pink dress. She appeared to be about 5 years old, was hovering next to my nightstand. Rather than fade away, she exited the bedroom by floating through the wall. I later learned that our housebed had been inhabited by a doctor and his family in the 1940s, and his young daughter had died while they lived there. I'm hoping to make some sense of this most recent encounter, and I plan to spend some time at my public library to see if slaves did indeed occupy the land upon which my current house is built. In any case, the slave girl apparition seemed happy and harmless. Yeah, I mean, if you're going to have an apparition appear at 3:33 a.m., if it's smiling and looks nice, well, that's good. But you don't want the ones that are really crappy and they're not looking happy to see at all. That would make waking up less fun. It sounds to me now here. There's a couple of things I'd like to cover in this, and that's the 3 to 4 a.m. time frame. That is the witching hour. A lot of people believe that it's midnight, but it's not. And paranormal investigators will tell you that the time when most of the activity jumps off is usually around 3 a.m. 3 to 4 a.m. is like the prime time to be investigating. So, I don't know why that is. I don't know what about that time of day enables them to become more active. I'm not sure. But I imagine that must be the fulcrum. I feel cold on my arm. I believe there's somebody in this room with me tonight. Huh. Yeah, I felt cold right next to my arm. Where's Deb? Is Deb in the chat room? Yeah, somebody's got to be here. I heard I don't know if it was a growling noise or a scraping noise first. Then I heard something fall, and then I heard something again, and that's when I started calling the cat. And now I just felt a really cold chill on my arm. Deb, let me know what's going on in my room here. And I'm not freaked out or anything. This stuff doesn't bother me, but something's going on. I can feel the tingling of the energy. So something's going on here. I'm not sure what's going on, but again, it doesn't bother me. It's not freaking me out or anything, but I definitely feel it coming back closer again. And ladies and gentlemen, believe this or not, but this room is absolutely closed. There's a door and 2 sealed windows that don't open. They're painted shut. There is no airflow in here at all, so it's not like a breeze there. I felt it again. A cold chill on my arm. Huh. That's pretty cool. And we've had things come or go. Nothing's showing up on the Ghost app, so again, I'm not a real big believer in that thing, but it's sometimes really interesting. But I don't know. I'm feeling a chill next to my arm, so what are you saying, Deb? Your friend was standing behind Don last night. Oh, okay. Well, yeah, there was some presence according to the Ghost app, if it does indeed work, which I'm not convinced it does, but it said it was recording a presence for about 30 seconds. Brent, I did a poll. Everyone wants you to tell these stories in a spooky Homer voice to it. Do you know how, I love doing the Homer voice, and it's fine. It's funny and all. But I got to tell you that doing a long story in a Homer voice would be really hard. It's not easy to talk like this. Yeah, I have to like pinch my throat weird and put my chin down, and so I appreciate that though. Thank you, and I think it's funny. But yeah, Deb, if you pick up anything tonight, let me know. I'm not sure if Sean or Dee is in here either, but I mean, again, it's not freaking me out or anything. It's just somebody obviously wants to be noticed. So since you're here, you can maybe clue me in on what they need at this moment in time. So, but anyway, what was that? Oh, talking about the apparition at the bed. 3 to 4 a.m., ladies and gentlemen, that's a pretty hot time for paranormal investigating. Now, I can't say that exclusively or continuously. Yeah, I just feel that over here. There's a coldness in the air. It's like I'm moving my hand through, when you open a freezer door, and you'll see this mentioned all the time on paranormal shows. And I'm not being dramatic, ladies and gentlemen. Honest to God, I'm not, because the Bedtime Stories is about me reading stories. I don't need to be dramatic. I don't need to pretend something's going on. But if something is going on, I'm going to have that conversation. I'm going to talk to you about it because it's really, it's a cool experience. Now, oh, there it is again on the back of my hand now, right now on the back of my hand. And there's no airflow in this room at all. So the fact that I would feel this changing air is really interesting. This is a closed room. No fan, nothing. Even the ceiling fan, which is normally spinning slowly, I forgot to turn it on before the show. So very interesting. Again, if you don't believe in this kind of stuff, you're probably watching the wrong show. Because that's what we do here. We talk about this stuff. But very interesting. I got to see if Deb said anything. Let's see. No, I don't think so yet. All right. Okay. All right. Well, when she gets back to me. Oh, there she is. I'm hearing music. Oh, that's interesting. Okay. Yeah, I don't know what's going on. I can definitely feel like standing right beside me is a cold pocket of air, and it's not on my right. It's not on my left side. It's just on my right side. So, and even as I touch my other arm with my left hand, I can feel the temperature difference. Like this arm is colder. So it is very sincerely going on. You're entertaining enough. Thanks, Jess. As I'm going through these. Yeah, I would. But the problem is the moon behind me sucks batteries. I got to replace the batteries again, and I usually don't turn it on anymore for the bedtime stories just because of that, because it sucks so much power. Oh yeah, I hope it's not being played backwards. That'd be creepy, Nadine. Hey Becky, what's going on is that I'm having something going on in my room here. There's like a spiritual charge here, and there's a cold air pocket next to me here. Right here, I still feel it. It's whatever it is still standing right here. Perhaps it's, if Sean was here, he may be able to see it as well, but I don't know. I'm not sure what's going on. You're trying to call me? Oh, on what, Skype? Oh, you know what? I forgot to use the phone line. Hold on, let me connect the phone line. Derp. I knew I was forgetting something. I got this phone line, and I can't even remember to use it. All right, we're going to get Deb on the phone here, guys. We're going to see what's going on. Just a sec. I forgot to turn on my own phone line. Yeah, I'm a pro. Okay, let's get this connected. God, I knew I was forgetting something. Oh, there she is. All right, let's see what she's got to say. Hi, Deb. Are you there?
I'm here. Are you there?
Yes, I'm here. How you doing?
I'm doing fine.
Good. What are you picking up? What's going on around me here? Because it's definitely a different atmosphere in the studio tonight.
Your friend was standing behind Don last night.
Right. And yeah, I did see that, and that's cool. That would explain maybe why the thing went off yesterday.
And he's also there with you tonight.
Okay. Oh, okay,
And it seems like he's trying to let you know that something's getting ready to happen.
Good thing or bad thing? What's going on?
I don't think it's real bad, but something's coming up.
Oh, well, I hope it's a good thing. Okay. All right. Yeah, it seems really persistent tonight, whatever the deal is, because, I mean,
Yeah,
no,
he's definitely, yeah, wanting to let you know that he's there and letting you know that something's going on. He's not saying what's going on, but he's trying to let you know something's going on.
okay.
So just keep an eye out.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. Well, hopefully it's a good thing.
If
Are you saying it's,
hopefully,
well, I mean, you're saying you're not quite sure, though, if it's good or bad, or
I'm
are you,
not. No, I
okay.
don't think if it's not anything really bad because it doesn't feel like it's real bad.
Does it feel like it's real
But
good?
he's not letting me know right now exactly what it is. He's
Okay.
just saying he's trying to let you know something's going to happen.
Okay. Gotcha. Okay, well, at least that explains it then. I wish he'd get a little more creative with how he's communicating, but not that I mind the activity, but it's like let's cut through the fluff here and get to the point. What do you need? That's the part that's tough.
Yeah,
I wish I could dial it in like you. I really do because
they do that sometimes. So you can feel them whizzing around you sometimes, or they tap you on the shoulder, or just anything to try to get your attention. So
well, I hope Duke's right.
this is what's going on.
Duke just said I won the lottery, so I hope Duke's right.
I get 10%.
You do. Wow. All right. Okay. So nothing else then. That's just what it is.
Yeah,
Okay.
he's just wanting to let you know that something's coming.
Okay. Well, and ladies and gentlemen, what
So,
Deb is
and if
referring to is an old roommate of mine. He and I were best friends out of high school and into my 20s, and we were very, very, very tight. Then we'd have falling out, and his life really went kind of downhill. And unfortunately, he was really in love with the chemicals. I mean, he just was, and he essentially drank himself to death, and I mean literally, not just that he got too drunk, but he drank so much and so often that his liver actually died. His liver died, and that killed him. And he knew that was coming, and he knew it was dangerous, but he still did it, which breaks my heart that's how the journey ended for him. But he was just that way, and so. What Deb is saying is that he's sticking around, and we've had this discussion off the air many times about who this is because I've been feeling for a long time there's a presence around here, just not sure who it was. So, okay,
well, that's who it is.
okay, well that helps at least now. And you know what? Now the cold pocket is gone, so I guess he feels like message delivered because it doesn't feel cold over here at all.
Okay. Well, if I find out anything else, then I'll let you know.
All right, my lady, thank you. I appreciate you helping me on this. It's just one of those things.
You're very welcome.
All right, love you.
Love you.
Okay,
Bye.
good night. All right, very cool. Yeah, I mean, what a rookie move. I got a phone line, and I forget to turn it on. It's so new, I forgot I had it. Oh, God. All right, so that's the excitement tonight right here in the studio. I guess Don's glad he didn't show up tonight. Because Don gets kind of freaked out by this kind of stuff. And, I'm not laughing to make fun of him. It's just, it's Don. Come on. Don is a hilarious guy. All right, I read that one. I still got to think. Now, that's not a weird noise. If you heard that through the microphone, that's a throat gurgle. I got like a little burp kind of sitting in my throat. So, anyway, let's get to some more stories here. All right. I thought for sure it was my cat was in here, but he's not. Because generally now something ticked. Generally when I call him, he comes. So, all right. Well, not generally. Every time I call him, he comes. Especially when I'm eating. That cat just has like food radar. He can be in the other end of the house and know exactly when I'm about to take a bite. He has like ESP for that. All right, where was I here? Okay, so I got some more pulled up. Again, I'm not going to read this really, really long one. It might be a fantastic a fantastic story, but I have a feeling it's written more like a log. Yeah, it is. It is. It's written more like a log, so I'm just going to close that one altogether. I was kind of debating whether or not I was going to read it, but, reading a log is not that interesting. All right, so the next one's coming out of Florida, ladies and gentlemen. And what's going on in Florida? I lived with my parents' house, in my parents' house, my entire life, ever since I was young. And I'd get an uneasy feeling about the house. It seemed like every day someone or was missing something, or the lights would turn on by themselves. And I eventually got used to it and learned to accept the weird things about my home. Recently, about 2 years ago, things got even stranger. I'd wake up in a hot sweat and feel as though someone was pushing down on me. Then, about the same time, my parents just started arguing every day as though they hated each other. They had never been like this before the events started happening, and I thought it might be whatever I had experienced. I had begun going to church a while back, and since that night, I woke up with the pressure on my chest, and I had begun to see things out of the corner of my eyes. It would look like a man standing or walking, and when I turned, my eyes would only see the air. Then about 4 months ago, the sightings began happening more and more. The nighttime events continued as well. Now they just happen almost 2 times a week, and I thought maybe it was me until a few weeks ago. A friend of mine brought me home from church one evening, and as I was about to get out, and he said, "Wait." And I turned and saw a very odd look in his eyes. He had been an EMT and is now a firefighter, so I trust his word. And he said, "Do you see that?" Having been looking for the lock on his door, I said, "No." "Why? What do you see?" And he begins to act strange and says, "It looked like a man was standing next to your door." I jokingly said, "Oh, you see him too?" "I see him all the time." And then he put his hands across my chest and said, "He don't look so friendly." And I just tried to get out of the car and inside the house, so I said goodbye and thanks for the ride and got out. As I was approaching the door, I was fishing in my pocket for my keys when he screamed out, "Hey!" and flashed his high beams. And just then, I saw the shadow of a man running away from me towards the next house. I jumped, but noticed that the shadow was solid, and there was no man to cast the shadow. He told me to stay safe, and I ran inside, and this has been getting worse since, and was hoping someone could give me advice. Well, if it's not in your house, that's good. If it's just outside, that's still creepy, but at least you can take comfort inside. But if that's inside your house as well, then you got to get some help. You got to get some cleansing done and some professionals in there to clean it out. Some spiritualists or whatever your religion is. Get someone that represents that and have them do some ceremonies. Oh, this one sounds pretty dark. This one's coming out of Colorado. This took place July 18th of 2007 in Colorado Springs, Colorado. It was in my bathroom. I was standing up in my bathroom looking at the medicine cabinet when all of a sudden I felt like I was pushed from the side, and I felt like I had just been stabbed. It hurt and stung really bad. I woke up on the floor and had things all around me that I didn't move. I looked at my side later, and there was fingerprints from where I felt like I had been pushed. There was also what looked like a cut on my side, right below the fingerprints. Now, I don't know what could have caused it. Also, I've been told that I can see or speak to ghosts, and I believe it. One time, my friend had come over. We haven't been friends since this incident, and I told her that there was something next to her. I just couldn't make out what it was. I looked closer, and it looked like a face looking over her shoulder. It was very scary and very real. I tried to tell her, but she wouldn't listen. Then, and this was what she claims, my voice changed, and I started to say words from a different language. She said the things started to move, and the door locked by itself. I reached out and grabbed a knife and stabbed it in my stomach. Then I woke up with blood stains on my shirt, and the door locked, and she was crying and wouldn't let me near her. She said that I looked possessed and that I should have a spell or blessing done on me. The funny thing is, I really don't remember what happened. I only know this because she told me. Recently, the same incident happened and I seemed to be possessed more often. Jeez. I can talk to people that no one can see, and often people come up and ask me to contact their departed loved ones, and they say that I again became possessed and sound like their relatives or whoever they want to contact. I once did this for a demonist, and he said that I was possessed by a demon. This fact has scared me for all my life. Please, if you can give me any advice what to do, please let me know. I don't want to be in the news or on TV, and I don't want any people coming to my house, so I'm signing this as anonymous. Thank you. Well, that's all kinds of wrong. I mean, it's fine to have, a barrier between you and the world most of the times, but if you're stabbing yourself with a knife, then it's game over. You got to get some help. It could be psychological. It could be psychiatric issue. Sorry, that word just wouldn't form in my mouth. Psychiatric issue. But it is possible that it is, truly a spiritual issue. And if it is any of the above, you need help. You can't just be alone. That's not going to do it. That's one of those things where generally if it's that far along, you can't really help yourself. And if it is indeed medical or some kind of issue with your brain, you need some kind of help. So I do believe that there are probably a lot of misdiagnoses where people go to get referred to psychiatrists or, for issues such as this and end up getting locked up and fed medications. And I think that that's a tragedy, but I do think there are also people that need those things, that they can't function on their own, and because of psychiatric issues. So, yeah, I don't know. I just, that word is not shaping right. And I don't think you can dismiss the medical causations either. I mean, that just wouldn't be smart or prudent. And, I'd love to say that everything that's wrong is spiritual, and maybe on some level it is because we do manifest life. But and I'm not a big pursuer of, going to doctors for everything that's wrong. I think that that's not the answer either. And I think that pharmaceuticals are overprescribed, and there's a lot of people, running around that are, they have holes in them from being not acknowledging spiritual issues. But there are those people that need those things. And for any kind of true investigating, for any kind of true research, you have to consider both. You have to consider both the medical possibilities and the spiritual possibilities. Now, the medical field only acknowledges the medical possibilities, no matter what. Even if they don't very clearly find a reason, they look at the symptoms and treat it like that's the disease, even if it's not, even if there's no physical causation for it. But, unfortunately, the other side of the coin is that there are spiritual reasons, but sometimes a doctor can help make that journey a little less painful, and you can get some help at least to treat the symptoms. So I don't know. It's a catch-22, I guess. There is no real easy answer for those kind of things, but you can't rule out medical professionals because there are people that are just way out there that are have problems with their brains. And it has nothing to do with spirits. All right. Sorry. I feel like I'm all over the map tonight, so I apologize. But I'm trying to pull it together for you guys to give you a show. Excuse me. This one's coming out of Missouri. When my oldest daughter was 2.5, she's now 13, she would sense and see things that we could not. We would sneak and sit outside of her room and listen to her giggle and talk in baby talk in her room to all the while she was looking up in the corner of the ceiling. I would always tell her to say hi to them from us, her angels. One evening, my daughter and I were visiting a friend's house, well, his brother's house, and he was giving us a tour of his home, and we had walked into the home office to look around. Sorry, I had to cough. And when I noticed, my daughter stopped right at the threshold, and I tried to persuade her to come in. No luck. And then we went about the house again, walking in and out of rooms, up and down stairs, and we passed the home office again, and she stops dead. I picked her up and proceeded to walk through the door, and she was trying to wiggling to get out of my arms, and she's saying, no, 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 go in. I looked at my friend's brother with a questioning look and tried again. Same response from her. I knew she felt something. I kept it to myself and didn't want to alarm them. We were all sitting in the living room having pizza when my daughter, 2.5, sits next to him on the couch and says, "Baby not here, baby up there," pointing to the ceiling. "Baby Amy went bye-bye." All of us were stunned. Just looking at her, my friend's brother just begins crying and then explains to me that his now home office was to be the nursery for their daughter. And I was just then told was stillborn at 9 months, and they had named her Amy. He just hugged my daughter and continued crying, knowing now that she was okay and at peace. Wow, that's amazing. Huh. It sounds like those things must have faded for that little child, because it sounds like just when she was little. Isn't that a shame, though? Isn't that a shame that there was such a window to see clearly this other world, and somehow our lives just take it away from some reason, whether it's hormonal, whether it's just the fact that we lose that perfect focus or whatever. It's so tragic to me. It feels like that's the way we're supposed to be, that we're supposed to be able to see that clearly and to be able to see and experience all of these other realities around us, but we can't. We're just so sucked into this one dimension. That's too bad. All right, let's get to the next one. I'm going to do a couple more, and that should about do it tonight. I'm sorry for the weirdness that was going on, but, this is the Paranormal Portal. All right, this one is coming out of Arizona. Arizona, Jess. All right. This one is, when I was young, I lived in Alaska. Why does it say Arizona then? My family and I moved into this old house on the side of a hill about a mile out of town. I had 2 sisters and 4 brothers, and so you can get the idea of the size of the old house. When we moved in, all the house was empty except for this one room that was upstairs on the 3rd floor. It was the only room up there, and it was full of boxes. Nothing seemed to be wrong in the house for over a month. One day, myself and 3 of my brothers decided to go into that room and dig through those boxes. You know, how young boys can't stay out of things, and that boxes only had personal items in them, old pictures and stuff that's of that sort. And when we left the room, it was a mess with all the stuff and boxes everywhere. I never thought anything about the room or anything in it again until a week later. Excuse me. My family had gone into town, but I decided to stay home alone. I was settling in a setting room at the floor of the stairs that led up to that room, and I was playing some John Denver tapes. Country road, take me home. When I heard a voice. It was the voice of an old woman. She sounded like she was in that room, and she was really mad. I could tell that she was coming down the steps by the sound of her voice. She was saying, "God blank those kids. I'll teach them not to get in my stuff." And then she went quiet. I was so afraid, but I looked up real quick to see a cloud-looking figure standing at the front steps. I didn't know what to do, so I acted like I didn't see her and just turned off the tape player and got up and walked out of the house. But when I got out there, I ran the mile to town. I never said anything to anyone about what had happened, but soon after, my dad moved us out of that house. About 20 years later, I took my kids to Alaska to see where I used to live when I was young, and I'd gone to the graveyard down the street from that old house. I found a grave for the husband of the old woman, and I noticed it was fenced off for 2 graves, but one was empty. I did some research into what happened to the old woman's body and found that before she died, she had befriended some of the townspeople to take care of her. She got sick, so her friends sent her to a town far away where they had better doctors. When she died, her friends left her body there for the state to take care of, while they split with each other all of her land and that old house. The old woman never got to be in the grave next to the man that she had loved her whole life. And her unresting soul just walked the hall and rooms in that old house, waiting for someone to put her body where she wanted to be. Wow. Okay, well, ladies and gentlemen, I'm sorry for the convoluted mess this show has become tonight, but just a weird night, That's all I can say. Sometimes those things happen, but we're doing 7 shows a week, so I hope you can forgive me once in a while. I can't always be on the ball. What did Duke say? Roses are lame, violets are... Go listen to Slayer. Oh, that's funny. All right. Well, I'm glad you say so, Deb. Thank you so much. Again, I don't know. Let me check the call board to make sure I haven't missed something more. Nope, nobody's calling. Good. I moved it off the screen, and I meant to keep it there. I still got a lot of sorting to do with this whole new features that I got. But anyway, I hope you guys have a wonderful night. Thank you so much for tuning in. And remember, what? Wow. Nadine says, wow, your image just changed drastically. Pixels with what you were saying. Well, that's just me. I'm a multi-dimensional man. No, I don't know. It's a weird night in here is all I can tell you. I don't feel like nervous or scared or anything like that, but I feel like I'm not alone, and that's okay. I many times I've experienced this, but it just seems more pronounced tonight than normal. So whatever that means, I don't know. But I'll keep you guys posted. Hopefully it's good things coming. Hopefully, keep praying. But anyway, guys, I love you. Thanks, Haxer. I appreciate it. Be good, be kind, be nice. Take care of each other. Help each other out. Find the magic in every day. And make sure to smile as often as you're able. So, again, tomorrow night, good night, Julia. Thank you. Tomorrow night, the investigator panel will be here. And then on Saturday night, Robin Moonshadow will be joining us for some encounter stories with the proto-pygmies and little people. It should be a great time, great stories, great conversation. So I hope you'll join us for both of those. But take care, everybody. Have a great night and sweet dreams.
Woo!